Hi, welcome to Eye Openers. I'm your host, Brittany Drozd, and each week I bring you insightful conversations with entrepreneurs that will help you make more money, become a strong leader, and build a business culture that you're proud of. Grab your coffee and let's dive in. Hi, it's Brittany Drozd, and I'm here to help you make more money, become a stronger leader, and build the culture you've always wanted for your business. Now, if you haven't been following along recently, I just picked up my stuff and moved across the country. That is making it sound way simpler than it actually is. Because you see, over the past 6 months to a year, my husband and I have been considering making a huge change for our life. And that impacts a lot of people, and not only just us, our kids, my business, his work, and so many things in between that. Really, our happiness and our comfort. And I want to share with you over the next few weeks a few things that were really pivotal in the way that we saw this change and what we really wanted to create for our lives. So this week, I want to chat with you about the concept of fear. So when I bring up this idea of like, hey, what do you think about moving your life like 3,000 miles away? A lot of people couldn't believe we were making this change when we first talked about it because it requires a tremendous amount of discomfort to get there, even more so than I thought when I had this idea in my head. And it reminded me of this acronym that I had heard used for fear, which is false evidence appearing real. And so let me say it again, fear is just false evidence appearing real. So when things got challenging as we were starting to think about this move, I would collect these false pieces of evidence to work against supporting the move. So prices were really high for housing during this part of COVID. And so I think, gosh, and this is probably a bad idea. We shouldn't be making this move. It's going to cost us a tremendous amount of money. But the truth is if I spent more time digging in, if I, was resourceful and could think outside of the box, if I could look at lots of other options, maybe I don't have to live in this one specific town. Maybe I can, live a town over and it's more affordable, or maybe we can do it less, or maybe we can sell a car. There's lots of things you can do when you really, really want to. But in that moment, I was feeling uncomfortable. I was having fear. And so I was searching for pieces of evidence that would support that, which in that case was not to move, right? So I'm looking for pieces of evidence that aren't really real to support this case of not making the change, not getting uncomfortable, right? Not managing some uncertainty to create a lifestyle that was more aligned for me. We do this all the time. So when I've had like a bad week in business before, who hasn't had like a week where you said, you know what, I'm all set with being an entrepreneur. I would like to do something else. I would like to go clock in somewhere. Well, I was having a week like that. And in those moments, it's really easy to collect false pieces of evidence to support that. So if you had some proposals that didn't go your way, if your sales were really down, if someone had given you some really tough feedback that was hard to hear, it's easy to take those pieces of information, collect them as that false evidence, and literally build a case against yourself as to why you're not fit to be a business owner. We're all our worst critics sometimes. And it's so unfortunate because if we could just see ourselves the way other people see us, oh my gosh, that would be wonderful. But we can't, it's how do we escape? How do we make this better? How do we stop collecting this false evidence? Well, number one, ask a close friend. Ask a close friend the way that they see it, because I guarantee you it is going to add some fresh perspective in your life. And you're going to say, wow, I wish I saw myself the way that they see me. Make sure it's a good friend though, someone who really likes you. Another way to do this is to collect evidence over a longer period of time. So when we're in those moments and we want all that false evidence to support this claim, it's usually a very tight window. So I was looking at evidence that day or that week instead of like, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. Look at all of that evidence, okay? We do this in so many areas of our lives. Like if you're in a fight with your partner or a friend, we look at this much evidence instead of looking at all the pieces of evidence that should really be included in that study that you're doing in your head. But this also happens in our businesses outside of just the sales and revenue component. We also do it with how we believe our customers see us or what we believe about our team. And this can be so damaging. I can't stress that enough, that we create these false assumptions, these false pieces of evidence, and we look for them again and again, and it starts to build a new story for us about this being real. Now, I could have stayed in this. I could have stayed in that and decided I'm not going to move. It's too scary and let fear control me. But you have to move with the challenges. You have to decide, I'm going to look at some other pieces of evidence too. Fear popped up so many times for me over the past 6 months, trying to create a case for why this move was a bad idea. I mean, I had days where I thought I was ruining my family's life by making this move, creating so much discomfort than what we're used to. But my gosh, like what a mistake it would be to stay comfortable forever. I mean, that is not how we grow. Literally creating discomfort, solving problems, being more resourceful is exactly how we evolve. And that's what I want for myself. That's what I want for my family. And I'm so glad to be sitting here on the other side of a lot of those challenges. Still have some challenges to face. I mean, as of today, I have an empty room, which is my new office besides the desk I'm sitting at and the chair I'm sitting on, because we haven't received our stuff from the movers yet. But again, another lesson in like letting go and figuring out how to solve the problem. I could sit and wait for the desk. I could come up with all these ideas about why moving was terrible and that I shouldn't have done it because where's my desk? Or I can just go get a new one on Facebook Marketplace. So I hope sharing this lesson on fear has been valuable with you. Remember that all fear is just false evidence appearing real. And you get to decide if you change the story, if you change the case study, if you decide to collect some more evidence that's actually real. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks for joining us this week on Eye Openers. Make sure to visit brittanyDrozd.com/podcast for this week's show notes. And if you found value in today's episode, I would so appreciate you giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or share it with a friend. Also, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. This all helps to support the show.